what is your mayor supposed to do anyway? What can your mayor do? What can't your mayor do? It is Friday, February 6th. This is an early one because I'm heading out of town today, but I'm committed to coming on here every single day. So here we are. Today, I wanted to read straight from the Local Governance Act about exactly what your mayor is supposed to do. There are constraints placed on every municipal role, the entire municipal government, as set forth by the province of New Brunswick. Now, I'm always wanting to orient you because it can be like drinking from the fire hose if this is all new to you. I want to talk about a few documents now that I have mentioned along the way and assure you that maybe it's not as big and as overwhelming as you think. And I want to make sure to continue to provide links for you where you can get these things. You can find them in the description of this video. But today I'm going to read from the Local Governance Act, which is set forth by the province of New Brunswick and regulates the structure of municipalities. Now, we've also talked about the other very important document, the Community Planning Act. That gets into very specific zoning and what can be done with land use and taxes and things like that. Those are high-level provincial documents that regulate your municipality here in St. Stephen. The other two that I've mentioned that are specific to the Municipal District of St. Stephen are our municipal plan, M4, that was adopted at the end of last year. That is our strategic plan that is going to decide where we go in the future. Very important document. We are going to be using this if I'm elected as your mayor. We're going to pick from this the priorities as we move forward. All this work was done. This council adopted it. This is our plan. So now it's a matter of how we execute that. The other thing is the zoning bylaw, Z4. Okay, so we're up to 4 things now. The 2 provincial, the 2 specific. The zoning bylaw is very specific about zones and areas, and again, how we can use land in our municipality. And 2 other very important documents that we're probably going to start turning to more now are the council procedural bylaw, which is something that our local municipality passed around amalgamation time. 2022 is when these things started getting kind of brushed up, blow the dust off and ratifying them. So the council procedure bylaw explains how council meetings and the people who sit at the council table and in those meetings are expected to perform, what they're supposed to do, how these meetings are carried out, when, all the nitty gritty. So it's really a fascinating read. I get lots of questions around public comment period, delegations, who can comment when and how it's supposed to work. All that is found in the council procedural bylaw. And that is something that we can revisit as a new government. There are some things in there that I find very interesting and maybe not excellent as we move through. I mean, for example, the word like nitpicking appears in there. And I'm just wondering, like, that doesn't seem like a very official word to me. So we're going to talk about that. And then I also want to talk about the standard of conduct, the council standard of conduct bylaw, and that is the expectations on how a person in council, including the mayor, because the mayor is just a member of council, is expected to conduct themselves. So hopefully that orients you in terms of, like, you know, when I was getting into this, it's like there's so much, it's so big. Where am I supposed to turn? Right now, if we just limit ourselves to those 6 documents, 2 of them, we've got the 4 bylaws, the municipal plan, the zoning bylaw, the the standard of conduct was the last thing, council procedural bylaw. But then, of course, the 30,000-foot view high level is those 2 provincial documents, the Local Governance Act and the Community Planning Act. Now, let me read straight from the Local Governance Act about what your mayor is expected to do. And then in the next video tomorrow, I want to unpack some of the implications around that and give you an idea about the kind of leader that I have been in the past, my philosophy of leadership. And I am happy to see that the constraints, the descriptions around the role of mayor in the Local Governance Act, there is a match there, okay? So I'm going to read straight from it here. This is in section 48 on page 51 of it, if you want to follow along. it says the mayor of a local government shall preside at all meetings of council. Oh, and if you think this list is huge and you're going to be here all day, there's only 5 things, okay? Preside at all meetings of council, which means your mayor needs to not only understand Robert's Rules of Order and the council procedural bylaw, but also be ready to exercise that, okay? And I promised that I would talk more about the implications tomorrow. But I just can't restrain myself, apparently. I have seen council meetings where things might be veering off the agenda, and that might include spontaneously inviting someone up to speak from the seats or things like that. And the mayor is the chair of this meeting. Robert's Rules of Order need to be in effect. And that is a big part of the job, is being able to actually say, hey, we need to stick to the agenda, pick up that gavel and use it, maybe just figuratively, but hey, maybe sometimes literally, and keep a really tight meeting where we move things forward in a very orderly way. So preside over the meetings of council is what that means, that the mayor is the chair of those meetings. The second thing is provide leadership to council, and that is vague, isn't it? Provide leadership to council. That has a lot of room for interpretation. And as someone who has studied leadership for almost 2 decades and was in leadership courses in grad school and read books around it, there is bad leadership and there's good leadership. So hopefully that means provide good leadership to council. And I want to unpack more about that in the next few days, as I mentioned. The third thing is communicate information and recommend actions to council for the improvement of the local government's finances, administration, and government. So you see there, communicate information and recommend actions to council. Now that can be something as nitty-gritty as helping to set the agenda that is in the council procedural bylaw. To back up a second, every time there's a meeting, there is an agenda. Well, how do things make it on that agenda? Well, I read in the council procedural bylaw that is set by the council and the mayor. Now, I think I would like to see more of a agenda committee, perhaps. I know that's done in other municipalities where it's the mayor and the CAO and maybe a rotating couple of council members so that everyone feels like that process is transparent and open, and councillors can make sure that nothing is left off the agenda. There is a risk of when it's just the mayor and the CAO setting the agenda, some things never get put on the agenda and therefore don't get discussed by council and don't get decided on. So there is those things to consider when we're talking about this third role, communicate information. The fourth one is speak on issues of concern to the local government on behalf of council. So there you go, like speaking, the spokesperson, and that really does come up in another one of the documents, the procedural bylaw. I want to read that to you. But the mayor is meant to be the spokesperson. You should be constantly hearing statements from the mayor, however, through some official channel, whether it's social media. Some folks don't like that. Maybe it's the town website. Maybe it's physical written letters of communique. We need to be constantly hearing from our mayor, speaking on behalf of council, decisions that are being made, where things are in the process, and that's why I have a very clear communication plan and commitments to do that. Check it out at buildupststephen.ca. And finally, perform any other duties confirmed on the mayor by this or any other act of council. That's kind of like anytime you get a job, there's that last other duties as required, because you don't want someone to just say, well, it's not explicitly named in the thing, so I don't have to do it. That's kind of like, hey, other things. But there's really important other things. So a whole new section under here. Next, 48.2, and we're over on page 52 now. And I'll end with this. Despite subsection 1, so despite everything we just read, the mayor of a local government is subject to the direction and control of council and shall abide by the decisions of council. In the next video, I want to unpack more what this means because we're north of 10 minutes now, but a couple of fatal errors when we're talking about a council and how a mayor engages with residents. is when the mayor goes around saying, I this, I that, I decided this, I want this to happen. That is problematic because there is no I on the council team, right? And we just read that. That's the tension between leading as mayor, but also serving. It says, I'll remind you, subject to the direction and control of council. Isn't that interesting? So the mayor gives direction to council, but the council also gives direction, subject to the direction and control of council. That is a perfect balance that's spelled out so that your interests get taken to heart, get taken to the table, and there is that balance in the team aspect, the collective aspect. I know you talk to some municipal gurus, they don't like the word team, they prefer collective, so I don't want to get into semantics here. But essentially, this group of people are going to make decisions together, and once that decision is made, it is adopted and it goes into effect, whether it's rejecting something or adopting something. The other fatal mistake, I would say, is, what we see here is the mayor is supposed to always be speaking on behalf of council. So you don't want the mayor saying, I this or I that, but also, if we're at a point where the mayor isn't saying anything, then there's this vacuum, and that is actually the job of the mayor. All right, so tomorrow I'll unpack a little bit more about this stuff. Again, reading maybe more from a couple other documents. Hopefully that was helpful. And have a wonderful Friday. Until tomorrow, take care of yourself, take care of your neighbor, and build up St. Stephen. See you tomorrow.